Good afternoon. We're convening the 3:00. We are about to convene the 3:01 agenda in probably 30 seconds for the Senate Committee on Transportation, Culture, and the Arts. I'll just note for the folks in the audience, thank you so much for coming down to testify. There are multiple agendas that we're going to be hearing, meaning there's one for our committee that's going to have a number of bills on it. There's another one with a joint committee with the Senate Committee on Consumer Protection, which will have several bills on it, which we'll get to after. So we're going to take the 3:01 p.m. agenda first, and the bills therein. We'll run through those as fast as we can, and then we'll get to the joint committee with the Consumer Protection right after that. Just a quick showing of hands, real quick. How many people here for the 3:00 joint committee with the Consumer Protection Committee? Handful? And then everyone else is here for the first agenda, is that right?
3:00.
And what about the 3:01? Handful of folks? Okay. Thank you very much, that's helpful. Okay.
3:01.
Thank you. All right, so let's get into the 3:01. It's now 3:02 by my watch. Let's get into the 3:01 p.m. agenda for the Committee on Transportation, Culture, and the Arts here in State Capitol Conference Room 224. As I mentioned, we have a number of folks signed up to testify, so please make sure your written testimony is submitted. We're going to limit people to 1 minute to make sure that we can give everybody a chance to weigh in. To the extent folks want to stand on their testimony and just say if they're in support or opposition, because we have your written testimony, that would be really helpful. And we go through it all and we'll have an opportunity to dive in. So that set up first is Senate Bill 3243 relating to campaign finance, which prohibits foreign entities from making elections, contributions, and interfering with local elections. Testifying first is the Campaign Spending Commission. In support, Center for American Progress in support, Free Speech for People. Oh, there's CSE. Good afternoon, Gary.
Good afternoon, Chair Lee. So we submitted testimony. We support the intent of this bill. And I would just ask that the bill's effective date be changed from upon approval to 2026 to give us enough time to create the necessary forms and changes to electronic filing system and maybe even legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next is Free Speech for People. Oh, you're muted there. Good afternoon.
Apologies, I am Ron Fine. I'm the legal director of Free Speech for People, and I will stand on my written testimony, which addresses the constitutionality and policy behind this law, which we support.
Thank you very much. We have a number of other organizations and individuals all in support. I believe that's all we had signed up. We had one other in-person, Nikos Leverins, who doesn't appear to be here. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify on Senate Bill 3243? All right, if not, are there any questions? Okay, if not, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next measure.
Can I, Chair?
Oh, sorry.
Can I have, I think the first testimony came from
Campaign Spending Commission.
Campaign Spending Commission. Are they on?
Yes.
I'm here.
1 second. This is the foreign contributions. My question is, there already is in statute foreign contributions not to be recognized by Hawai'i as well when it comes to campaign spending. So are we just adding more to the current legislation? And that's because I say that because as I was a member of the county council back in the 80s, we were already notified that there's already a statute that we don't accept foreign contributions.
Yeah, so right now our law, the state law prohibits contributions from foreign nationals or foreign corporations. Federal law prohibits contributions and also expenditures from foreign nationals. This bill goes further than that. It will prevent foreign-related business entities that are owned by foreign nationals or foreign entities to a certain percentage, like 1% or 5%. So those aren't currently covered under our law, existing law.
Okay, so we're adding FICAs then, part of the national law.
FICA is already part of our law. We're adding to, we're expanding both of those.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Any further questions? If not, thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 2746, relating to harbor safety. Testifying first on 2746, I imagine, is Department of Transportation. Comments? Public Utilities Commission. Thank you. Next signed up is BIA Hawaii. With comments, Hawaii Gas. Good afternoon. Thank you. Up next, PAR Hawaii. Opposition.
Hello, Chair Lee,
Oh,
Vice
good
Chair Inouye, and members of the committee. This is Mark Inouye from PAR Hawaii. We stand on our comments in opposition to SB 2746. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. See Tina there from Retail Merchants of Hawaii.
Aloha, Chairman. Good afternoon. I'm Tina Yamaki with Retail Merchants of Hawaii, and we stand in opposition to this measure. You know, there are already trained U.S. Coast Guard's licensed barge operators that are already doing what this bill is saying they want someone else to do, and they are already safely securing our vessels to the docks. But I want to point out that it's measures like these that have the potential to increase the cost of goods and products and make it even more costly for Hawaii's residents to shop for food, clothing, beverages, appliances, equipment, and other necessities, as well as continue to making Hawaii one of the most expensive states to live in. We also need to realize that about 90% of our products and goods are shipped into our islands. And also to having to wait for somebody else to come in, dock the boats and all of that. It's going to take a delay in getting these things offloaded. And as we all know, especially those on the neighbor island, barges come once a week. And if you miss that barge, you got to wait another week for your goods and products. And we're also concerned about Lahaina's. They're right now being, trying to rebuild and everything. So we want to be sure that, it is still the same as it is and that we keep our prices down. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Up next, signed up is General Contractors Association. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Ryan Sakuda on behalf of the General Contractors Association of Hawaii. I'd like to stand on my written testimony in opposition. However, I'd like to humbly request an amendment that's not included in our testimony should the committee consider moving this measure. I'd like the committee to consider including a tax credit for eligible businesses affected by this measure for the amount of increased cost to comply with this measure. This will allow further discussion in the next committee on the financial impacts of this measure. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Up next, signed up to testify, individual named Quinn.
Now present on Zoom.
Thank you. We have a number of other individuals, some in opposition, mostly in support. That's all we have signed up to testify. Though, is there anyone else here this afternoon wishing to testify? Please come forward.
Aloha, Chair Lee. I am Joan Messino with Aloha Marine Lines, and I stand by our written testimony.
Thank you very much. Was that?
It was submitted by Brett Harper
Oh, okay. Thank
In
you.
opposition.
in opposition. Correct.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify in this measure this afternoon? All right. If not, are there any questions?
PUC, please. PUC. Can you come up, please? Okay. Can you state your name?
With the Public Utilities Commission.
Okay, you sent communications and comments only. Has there been incidences of the present operator and the responsibilities? And as you did hear, AML is in opposition to this measure. Has there been any incidences that occurred past years or recently with regards to the services provided by EML?
I'm not specifically aware of that. We have to take a look at it and we have to get back to you.
Okay, so your testimony were
Right.
by comments, but,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any further questions on this measure? If not, thank you,
All
everybody.
right, can I just add, this communication is providing a real burden on us. We have present operators who provides the services that we all appreciate. And I love the stevedores. So you can imagine the burden that's putting on us, particularly from the neighbor islands. And you heard what the communication from the retail association. This is going to impact the neighbor islands and the services, but I'm just sharing that. So let's all read the support and the oppositions on this matter, but it's sure a burden, Mr. Chair, that this measure is before us. I
Can ask
just
that in
want
the
to
form of
add.
a question?
Okay, sure. I'm just saying that to all of you, we appreciate your communications. We thank you for sending letters, but it's not a good bill because it's dividing all of us as well. So that's your show and let's go on with it.
Thank you. Okay, up next is Senate Bill 2450, relating to the Department of Transportation. Testifying first is the Department of Transportation. With comments. And that's.
Hi, Chair Lee. We sent in our written comments, Tammy Lee, and I'm here for any questions.
Oh, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify in this measure this afternoon? 2450. All right, if not, are there any questions on 2450? If not, thank you. Let's move on to the next measure. Senate Bill 2895 relating to transportation, which is about the definition of motor carrier vehicles. Testifying first is the Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Chair. Tammy Lee, we stand on our written testimony providing comments. I apologize, my video is not working.
No worries. Thanks very much. Signed up to testify next is Retail Merchants of Hawaii. Still with us? All right, if not, that's everyone who has signed up to testify. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify in this measure this afternoon? All right, if not, are there any questions? If not, thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the next measure, SB 2965, relating to the inter-island transport of hydrogen. 2965, first testifier is DCCA.
Good afternoon, Chairs, Vice Chairs. My name is Mike Angelo. I'm the Executive Director of the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. Division of Consumer Advocacy, stating on written testimony.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Waste Day Energy Office. With comments, Public Utilities Commission.
Good afternoon, Chair. Vice Chair, members of the Johnson County Utilities Commission. Send out a written testimony for comments.
Thank you. That's all the testimony we have signed up. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify in this measure this afternoon? If not, are there any questions? All right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience as we get through this long agenda. Up next is Senate Bill 2194 relating to unmanned aircraft. Testifying first is the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. And support. Oh. Thank you. Up next is the Honolulu Department of the Prosecuting Attorney. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Chair Lee, Vice Chair Inouye, and other committee members. My name is Wilson Unga. I'm a Deputy Prosecuting Attorney for the state of City and County of Honolulu. And on behalf of my office, I wanted to submit strong support for SB 2194. Just a few points summarizing the already submitted testimony. The first is which the recommended amendment from unmanned aircraft language be changed to uncrewed aircraft to be consistent with terminology on the federal level as well as the industry-related terminology in use. Second of which is recognizing that the FAA already does a lot of regulation for this type of activity, as well as DHS, but also recognizing that a local community-based type of protection will be needed from this type of law and will be provided for under this bill. This bill provides, among other things, a widescape of varying degrees of severities for unlawful use of unmanned or uncrewed aircraft, some of which is unique to this bill and some of which might be existent in the statutory regime for various types of crimes, but
If I could ask you to summarize.
Sure. And lastly, I'm sure HFD will provide testimony to this, but it'll also help with preventing any obstruction or impediments to HFD investigation. So for all those reasons, we stand in strong support.
Thank you. That's everyone who signed up to testify. Is there anyone else on SB 2194? All right, if not, are there any questions?
Questions for prosecuting attorney? Hi, Mr. Unga. Thank you for being here and thank you for your testimony. Two questions I have now. So currently, if someone has a complaint about a unmanned aircraft, what does law enforcement currently do, in light of FAA regulations?
It depends whether or not it's a complaint that's being given to HPD directly. I'm sure an inquiry will first be addressed as to whether or not there is an ongoing FAA investigation or DHS investigation, if that may be the case. But HPD would continue to do their own investigation, just like any other complaint, to verify whether or not continued or proceeding investigation needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any further questions? If not, thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the next measure, SB 2747, relating to aircraft, which has testifying first, Blue Hawaiian helicopters. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair Lee, members, Quinn Koch, Blue Hawaiian Helicopters. Today we're here to talk about insurance. We really believe that insurance drives in safety for helicopters, for Blue Hawaiian Helicopters. We well exceed the state's maximum requirement, and they constantly come to us giving us the most update technology to make sure that we have the best systems in place to protect our coworkers with over almost 300, and of course the community that we serve. For example, during COVID, they came to us and they said to maintain our level of insurance, we needed to put in crash-resistant fuel tanks. We did that. We're the only operator with a full fleet of that done across the state. I kind of look at it like Geico. When you call Geico and they're like, do you have anti-lock brakes? Do you have an alarm system? Do you have this? Do you have that? And that lowers your premiums. Well, you have to have those safety systems in place in order to do that. My recommendation is to copy McCarran Airport, Las Vegas. They have a really good mix of tourism and helicopters, just like us.
We ask you to summarize.
Sorry. And in summary, we also need to make sure it's not federally preempted, that it does need to be across all operators at the airport. You can't just single out helicopters. You have to do GA all the way up to the airlines and be fair about that. And McCarran does the best example of that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Testifying next is the Hawaii Association for Justice. In support? Oh, good afternoon. Thank you. That's everyone who signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in this measure? If not, are there any questions? All right, thank you, everyone. If not, let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 2857, relating to an aircraft service and maintenance tax credit. Testifying first on 2857 is the Department of Taxation.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Teresa Setter on behalf of the Department of Taxation. We stand on our written testimony on our comments.
Thank you. Up next is the Attorney General. with comments. Tax Foundation of Hawaii. Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chairs, members of the committee, Deputy Attorney General Winston Wong. The department has submitted testimony and comment on the proposed legislation. Essentially two issues here. One, it's a little unclear as to who may claim the credit. Reading the context of the bill, it looks like it's intended to support the aviation servicing industry. So we're assuming that this is a business bill to be claimed by the businesses and not by the aircraft operators and those who are going to be using these services. So we proposed changes to try and adjust that so that these taxpayers can be called qualified taxpayers, because that's currently undefined in the bill. Second, it's unclear how the bill may be claimed. It's supposed to be claimed on GET expenses, but GET is assessed on income, even though it's passed on to customers, and customers do pay GET. Ultimately, the businesses are liable for it, and it's assessed on gross income. So in order to make that, in order to make the credit work with a GET assessed on gross income, we've proposed comments that this would be claimed by the businesses operating aircraft service and maintenance businesses, and that they'd be claiming it on their own income and not expenses.
Thank you. Up next is Tax Foundation. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We have submitted some comments on the bill. We'll just stand on our written comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's everyone who signed up to testify in this measure. Is there anyone else wishing to testify? If not, are there any questions? If not, thank you. Let's move on to the next measure. SB 2891 relating to the Department of Transportation. I'll just note for everyone, after getting all the testimony, which was significant in opposition, and checking with our colleagues from Maui, which this bill is directed at, we're going to be recommending deferring this measure, meaning it will not pass today. So if you've signed up to testify, know that going in, we plan on deferring this so you can take that into account before you spend a lot of time trying to convince us otherwise. So SB 2891, up first is Department of Transportation.
Aloha, Chair. We send in our written testimony and support. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Maui County Council member. Oh, we have three of them. Who's up first? Looks like Tamara. Yeah, Tamara Bolton. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I just came across this bill on Sunday afternoon, browsing through the upcoming committee meetings, and I was kind of shocked that there was no community outreach about a change of this magnitude, especially given that elementary school was just built makai of this airport. If you look into the history, when it was first constructed in 1985, or the idea was come up in 1985, there was significant opposition. And so the district boundary amendment and the change in zoning has specific conditions attached to it, and any change would need to pass through the Maui County Council. And regarding the huge opposition that my community, once they were made aware of what happened, we would not support this kind of change. If you need more money for emergency night lights or something like that, we'll take glow sticks over helicopters. Thank you.
Thank you. Tax credit for glow sticks, noted. Appreciate you taking the time. Up next is Blue Hawaiian Helicopters. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair Lee, Council. We feel that we just want to find a way to support the community, the efforts of Blue Hawaiian hours after the fires, and being able to bring food supplies in and out. Regardless if it's selling glow sticks or whatever, we want to keep access to that airport open and find a way to help the DOTA, which is losing money on the airport, to find a way. So God forbid there's ever a disaster again, that we are able to access the airport and help the people on that side of the island.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we ask him a question since it's here, and I'll make it short?
Why don't we, there's only a couple more. Why don't we
Okay.
just go through those just to maintain.
You can you stand
order
by?
here. Next is Leonard Nakoa III.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you. Kai Nishiki. Good afternoon.
Aloha, Chair. Aloha, Chair, and committee members. Kai Nishiki testifying on my own behalf. And our community is already overrun by tourism on the land and the sea. And we don't need to be further assaulted from the air, especially with the new elementary school and housing in this area. And to the point made by the previous testifier regarding emergencies, we can do that without having helicopter tourism done just every day, all day. And so, you know, on an emergency basis, we fully support that. That was one of our main ways of getting supplies in to help our West Maui community when we were cut off from all the roadways. So of course we would support that, but let this be a lesson learned. Do not try and make bills and impacts to our community without doing community outreach. This is outrageous that.
Yes, you summarize. We're
yes.
at your time.
Yes. So please let this be a lesson. Do community outreach early and often before you ever propose something with such serious negative consequences. Mahalo.
Thank you. That is all the testifiers we have signed up to testify. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify this afternoon? Or if not, Vice Chair, you had a question?
Yes. The question is, you can fly in presently, but not in a full operation as requested in this measure.
The way thank you for your question. The way that it's written right now is we would have to get emergency authorization, which we did so after the fire, to go in. The question in play is if the DOTA undoes the airport and it's no longer has access, then we would not be allowed to go in. So finding a way to, you know, support that airport is key to us.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much.
Any further questions? If not, all right, thank you. Let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 3220 relating to motor carriers. Testifying first is the Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. The DOT supports the intent, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. PUC? With comments. Thank you. Hawai'i Transportation Association.
Good afternoon, Calvin Cox, Hawai'i Transportation Association. We stand on our testimony supporting SB 3220.
Thank you. Pacific Transfer LLC.
Good afternoon, Christopher Liu, Pacific Transfer. Pacific Transfer LLC stands on its testimony opposition as this measure does not provide any actual solutions. It merely shifts the burden from one overtasked department with a large and important mission to another overtasked department with just as large and important mission, the lacks any experience or expertise in the matter. For this measure and the continuation of the regulation of rates, the Terrorist Act is nothing more than Jones Act level protectionism for truckers and tourist bus operators.
Thank you. That's everyone who signed up to testify. Is there anyone else in the room today wishing to testify in this measure?
Hi, my name is DNC Trucker. We support this bill because the PUC is good at issuing a certificate, but what matters is the ongoing regulation. And we feel that the DOT has the on the ground and it's in contact with the truckers at the weight scales and in the authorities. And they also conduct audits of books, so they would be very qualified for this.
Thank you. Sir? Good afternoon.
I had a 2-minute testimony, now I gotta cut it down to one.
A lot of people showed up today.
Joel Rivera, President, Hawaii Logistics Services. Thank you for your time, Senators. As we are aware, the PUC is not equipped to handle ground transportation issues regarding regulation, tariffs, insurance issues, consumer fairness issues, and financial health assessment for new entrants. What this bill will do is to bring this issue where it belongs into the professionalism of the DOT MVSO,
What it will do is remove the violators off the road, have more transportation companies comply, protect the public with a clean, fair, and transportation environment, and generate more revenues as transportation companies will follow the required rules. I would refer you to the written testimony of the PUC Chair, Mr. Asuncion, on SB 2097 against the regulation stated. The measure may impact motor carriers that operate in multiple counties, especially the counties chose to establish their own rules, ordinances, and requirements that may differ from the county to county. The commission suggests considering the language in SB 3220, this bill, and transferring responsibility to the State Department of Transportation that will allow for consistent and uniform rules for motor carriers that operate in multiple counties. Thank you for your time and your consideration. Hello.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on 3220? If not, are there any questions? Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the last measure on this agenda, SB 3218, relating to special number plates. Testifying first is Hui Ho'ohonua. In support. IT, do we have anyone online?
Nobody on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone wishing to testify on this measure who's here with us today? If not, all right, since there's no one to ask questions of, that was the last measure on our 3:01 p.m. agenda. Sure. Okay. All right, we're gonna go straight into our decision making on this agenda, and then we have one quick agenda of bills deferred from earlier in the week or earlier last week that we're gonna vote on. And then we'll go back into our joint agenda with the Committee on Consumer Protection. So for all the folks who've been waiting for that one, thank you very much for your patience. So we're gonna vote on these bills and we'll be to that agenda in just a minute. Is it on 301? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, so starting at the top of our 3:01 p.m. agenda, up first is Senate Bill 3243 relating to campaign finance. Recommendation is to move this forward, adopting the recommendations from the Campaign Spending Commission to move the effective date for this measure to January 1, 2026. Any comments and questions? Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 3243 is to pass with amendments. Chair Lee.
Aye.
Okay, Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Elefante.
Aye.
Okay, Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Okay, Senator Awa.
Aye.
Okay, measures adopted with 5 votes. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to Senate Bill 2746 relating to harbor safety. Recognizing there's a lot of interest in this, we're going to return to this. So we're going to defer this to this Thursday, 2/8 at 3:05 p.m. Just so we can chat with some of the stakeholders and work out a couple of the kinks and then move forward at that time. Up next is Senate Bill 2450 relating to the Department of Transportation. Recommendations on this one are just to add a defective date, so pass with amendments. Any comments and questions? Not, Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2450 with amendments. There's 5 present. Any voting with reservations? Any no votes? Measure is adopted with 5 votes. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Up next is Senate Bill 2895 relating to transportation. This is the definition of motor carrier. Recommendation is to move this along with amendments as well. We would like to adopt the recommendations from Department of Transportation, which are mirror the language in House Bill 1578 HD1, which would basically allow out-of-state chassis, container chassis, to obtain safety inspections per our existing process. Any comments, any questions on this? Not, Vice Chair.
Okay, Chair's recommendation on SB 2895 to pass with amendments with 5 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted with 5 votes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Up next is Senate Bill 2965 relating to the inter-island transport of hydrogen. Recommendation on this is to pass with amendments clarifying that it applies to hydrogen produced from renewable sources. Any comments, questions?
Chair's recommendation on SB 2965 is to pass with amendments. Anyone voting with reservations? Any no votes? Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 5 votes.
Thank you. Up next is Senate Bill 2194 relating to unmanned aircraft. Recommendation is to pass with amendments adopting the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation amendments, adding corrections officers as exempt so that they're able to use drones in defense of their properties. And secondly, adopting the prosecutor's amendments, changing the term unmanned to uncrewed aircraft.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2194 is to pass with amendments with 5 members present, any with reservations, any no votes. Mr. Chair, motion is adopted with 5 votes.
Thank you. Senate Bill 2747 relating to aircraft. We'd like to return to this on Thursday with the intention to speak with the stakeholders to work out some of the final language, but appreciate everyone who took time to testify. So we'll return to this Thursday, 2/8 at 3:05 p.m. in this room. Up next is Senate Bill 2857 relating to an aircraft service and maintenance tax credit. I'd like to move this along for further consideration in the Ways and Means Committee. So I'd like to pass with amendments adopting the Department of Taxation amendments, which adds a definition of wildfire relief efforts. Secondly, defines qualified taxpayer as the owner operator. Third, clarifying revisions to Section 2, page 3, lines 14 to 16. And page 5, lines 16 to 21, we're going to delete and revise the definition finally for qualifying gross income, which will be inserted there. And finally, adding a defective date.
Okay, Chair's recommendation on SB 2857 is to pass with amendments with 5 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Okay. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 5 votes.
Thank you. Moving on to Senate Bill 2891 relating to the Department of Transportation. This is the measure that we had mentioned. We were going to defer earlier in the hearing regarding flights at Kapalua. We want to thank the council members who submitted testimony, as well as the community who came out, as well as our colleagues from Maui in the area who we spoke with earlier today. So with that, we're going to defer that measure. Moving on to Senate Bill 3220 relating to motor carriers. I'd like to move this along, adopting the amendments of the recommended amendments of the PUC, which essentially limits the transfer to DOT to just enforcement as recommended in testimony. And then secondly, adding in a defective date. So any questions or comments? If not.
Chair's recommendation on SB 3220 to pass with amendments. Any reservations or no votes with the 5 members present? Motion is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 5 votes.
Thank you. Moving on to Senate Bill 3218 relating to special number plates. We'd like to move this along with amendments, just placing a limitation on the design to 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches on the plate so as not to conflict with the numbers on the license plate, which apparently has been an issue with the Polynesian Voyaging Society plate, which has been really popular, but unreadable in certain light by law enforcement. And secondly, tech amendments and defective dates so we can make sure that that jives with law enforcement.
Chair's recommendation on SB 3218 to pass with amendments with 5 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 5 votes.
Thank you very much. And then, okay, so that takes us out of our 3 o'clock DM agenda. 3 o'clock. Sorry, 3:01 p.m. DM agenda. We're going to go into our 3:05 p.m. agenda, which were measures that were deferred from several hearings ago. So we'll close that out and go into our 3:05. Starting with 2889. Take a quick recess. We good? Okay, no recess. Okay, up first is Senate Bill 2889 relating to excessive noise. We'd like to move this measure along with amendments, removing the money from the measure, which the Department of Transportation has testified that they do not need, but providing authority to run the noise program as a legitimate program, and adding in a defective date. Any comments or questions? No, Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2889 to pass with amendments, with 5 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes.
No vote.
That Senator Ava. Measure is adopted with 4 votes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Up next is Senate Bill 2350 relating to noise pollution. Recommendation on this is to pass with amendments. First of all, limiting the measure to counties over 500,000. Secondly, adopting the Attorney General recommendations for escalating fines for repeat offenders, but making those amounts for a first-time offense $100, a second-time offense $300, and a third-time offense $900 within a 5-year period, and applying that new fine schedule also to Section 291-24.5. I'll note this goes on to the Judiciary Committee, where they'll have a better handle on dealing with penalties and other things. So we'll give them that to chew on. Any questions or comments?
Chair's recommendation on SB 2350 with amendments, with 5 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes.
No.
Okay. Senator Ava is a nay. Measure is adopted with 4 votes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Up next is Senate Bill 3021 relating to transportation. We'd like to move this along as well to the Ways and Means Committee with amendments, adopting some of DOT's amendments, omitting the signature requirement at time of sale, providing authority for the department to do a time of sale rebate, and we'll recommend they do that, but not require it in the statute, as it's a little bit complicated to do. Secondly, we'll adopt the DOT amendments lifting the annual expenditure limits from $700,000 to $2 million. We'll provide explicit expenditure authorization, which was a fix they needed, which was missing out of the original bill and program. Fourthly, we'll add language to clarify that DOT may contract a third-party administrator for the program who is authorized to pay the rebates out for electric mobility devices. We'll clarify tech amendments to the definitions and eligibility. And we'll also adopt the Metropolitan Planning Organization recommendations to add eligibility for disabled people with disabled placard who need an adaptive e-bike, and will allow them to capture the full $1,500 rebate in those cases. Any comments on that?
Discussion, DOT, please. Highways. Okay, Mr. Chair, yeah.
They were not, this
They're
was,
not here.
yeah, just DM from the last time.
Yes, I understand. My question is, where are they going to get the monies for the rebates? And I understand there's an appropriation, so there's no fees to go with this.
Right,
Am I
the
correct?
money's already in the program, which is operating now, so we're not
Okay.
changing that or adding.
So we're using their money then for the rebates?
Right, the money that's
Okay,
already there.
All right, that clears the question,
Yep.
Mr. Chair. Chair's recommendation on SB 3021 is to pass with amendments, with 5 members present, Any voting with reservations, any no votes? With reservations or no? No for Senator Awa. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 4 votes.
Thank you. All right, moving on to Senate Bill 2892 relating to mopeds. Appreciate the outreach from some folks out in the community and the industry on this one. There's another separate bill which touches on this, which was on our other agenda, so we're gonna defer this measure. Moving on to Senate Bill 2945 relating to transportation.
We're deferring this indefinitely, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thanks.
Senate Bill 2945 relating to transportation. I recommend moving this on, passing with amendments. However, we know that there's some conflicts here, so what we'd like to do is ask the Attorney General to head up a task force to evaluate interlock accessibility and some of the new best practices in the national landscape. And this goes to the Judiciary Committee, so we can have some of that conversation in that committee.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2945 to pass with amendments. Anyone with 5 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes? Measure is adopted with 5 votes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to Senate Bill 2039 relating to the motor vehicle rental industry. Seeing as there was no supportive testimony, we're going to defer this measure. And then Senate Bill 2355 relating to vehicle titles.
Hold on a second. I'll be back to this one then. Okay, can you take this? Okay, 1 second, hold on. Okay, I need the vote sheets for 2039. Okay, oh, you're deferring. Oh, okay, so we're at 2806. Okay, wait, hold on a second. Because we got, yeah, okay, so I'll defer on these 3. Okay, all right, sure.
So on SB 2355 relating to vehicle titles, this was trying to fix a situation where people would transfer titles, but it wouldn't get recorded, so they get fined when someone else is driving their car around. Appreciate the introducer for working on this. What we're gonna do is defer this measure, but we'll have a resolution that'll address it going forward later this session. Next is Senate Bill 2806 relating to vehicles. We're working with stakeholders on this one, so we're just going to defer this one till Thursday, this Thursday, 2/8 at 3:05 p.m. Return to it then. And then Senate Bill 2630 relating to pedestrians. I'd like to move this along, recognizing there are some issues to be worked out. This goes to the Judiciary Committee, but we want to make some amendments to address some of the concerns that were raised. So we want to allow safe crossing in areas more than 200 feet from a marked crosswalk. And this is focused, I think, on one of the recommendations from one of our colleagues in a more rural area where there just aren't crosswalks for miles in highways. So we want to make sure that people aren't getting fined for simply crossing the street when there's no options available. Secondly, we want to increase the minimum penalties for speeding to match the jaywalking minimums to address the concerns of equity in many communities. We recognize this is a work in progress and probably not a perfect bill, but we'd like to have that conversation continue and see if there can be something done, because this obviously addresses health and safety. So finally, we'll add in a defective date on the measure to ensure that we have an opportunity to return to it. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate the discussion on this. Previous measures from last session, I voted no, and I'll be voting no, seeing that the testimony hasn't changed from law enforcement and HDOT. Thank you.
So, okay, no one else, then Vice Chair.
Okay, Chair's recommendation to pass SB 2630, pass with amendments. Chair, the Vice Chair will call for the roll call here. Chair Lee.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Elefante.
No.
Okay, Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Okay, Senator Awa.
Aye.
Okay, measure is adopted with 4 votes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to Senate Bill 2097 relating to motor carriers. We'd like to move this along with amendments, but turning this into so this is a measure that received significant discussion in our last committee. It's very similar to a measure which we just moved out about who should regulate the trucking industry, should it be the PUC or others. Note this goes on to the Consumer Protection Committee, but in order to have that discussion, we just like to keep it alive for the moment. So we'll turn it into a task force to take a look at some of the issues that were unresolved and then add in some technical amendments. Any questions or comments?
Chair's recommendation on SB 2097 is to pass with amendments. Chair Lee.
Aye.
Okay, Vice Chair goes with reservations. Senator Elefante.
Aye.
Okay, Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Okay, Senator Awa.
No.
Okay, measure is adopted with 4 votes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
And for the last measure on the agenda, Senate Bill 2742 relating to the Department of Transportation, we'd like to move this forward with amendments. We had some input from DOT and other agencies. So we'd like to change this measure to develop 3 pilot projects for greening our highways. So we'll develop 3 different kinds. One to restore forest, probably on the H2 where there's space. One to green a more urban highway, the H201. Where there's space, and then one to green urban highways where there's not much space for trees, but there's probably some other things we can do. So that'll be the H1. And finally, we'll add a working group to develop those projects and define best practices that achieve temperature reduction, carbon capture, habitat restoration, and improve mental health for users and beautification for visitors and commuters in those corridors. And finally, develop projects that minimize the maintenance necessary to manage all of that over time. And we'll add a report back to the legislature. So any comments or questions on that?
Question, Chair.
Yes.
So the monies that will be used is going to come from their own budgets and not charging anyone?
Yeah, there won't be money in this. They're just developing the ramifications for what this project should look like.
Okay, so, but they're using their own monies?
Yes.
Okay, no appropriation from the general fund?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chair's recommendation to pass SB 2742 with amendments. With 5 members present, any voting with reservations? Any no votes?
No.
No for Senator. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 4 votes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. That's the end of our decision making. I'll gavel out of that and turn it over to Chair of the Consumer Protection Committee. All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're convening our joint committees on Transportation, Culture and Arts, and Consumer Protection on our joint 3 p.m. agenda here in State Capitol Conference Room 224. Thank everybody for your patience. I know we're starting a little bit late. We had other bills to go through. And as had been mentioned, we do have a lot of testimony in the measures before us. So we're going to be asking folks to make sure you've submitted your written testimony. And then we'll be limiting testifiers to 1 minute to make sure that we can get as many people an opportunity to say a few words if they'd like as possible. And so for the agencies and others, if you have submitted your written testimony, we'd ask you to consider standing on your testimony. So up first is Senate Bill 3022 relating to transportation. And signed up to testify first is the Department of Taxation.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Department of Taxation, and purposes that we can stand on our written testimony, offering comment.
Thank you. Up next is Tax Foundation of Hawaii.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair Lee and members of the committee. This is Jade McMillan on behalf of Tom Yamachika and the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We will stand on our written comments submitted on the measure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next is Uber. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members. Bob Toifuku testifying on behalf of Uber. The basic concern with the bill is that it's not equitable. If there's going to be a fee charged only to the TNCs, Like Uber, we are suggesting that it be across the board, that all transportation organizations that provide transportation of individuals, whether residents or tourists, the fee should be applied equally and not just to the 3 TNCs that exist. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Lulupono Initiative. Thank you. That's everyone who signed up to testify. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify in this measure? If not, are there any questions? All right, if not, thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 2641 relating to traffic violations. Testifying first is the judiciary.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Member of the Committee. I'm Margie again, and I stand up for a petition. We stand by our written testimony.
Thank you very much. That is everyone who signed up to testify. Is there anyone wishing to testify in this measure this afternoon? If not, are there any questions? All right. If not, let me turn it over to our chair.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, thank you very much to our friends from the Transportation Committee for accommodating this joint hearing. The next measure on the agenda is SB 2617 relating to real property. This measure prohibits foreign principals from acquiring real property in the state or any interest in real property in the state except a de minimis indirect interest. It defines foreign principal, requires a foreign principal that owns real property that was acquired before this measure's effective date to register the ownership with the Attorney General, and requires a buyer of real property to provide a signed affidavit attesting that the buyer is not a foreign principal. It also authorizes the forfeiture of real property or an interest in real property that is owned or acquired unlawfully. We have a list of registered testifiers. I would like to note that at 1 p.m. when we needed to process our agenda for this hearing, we had 1,263 pieces of written testimony submitted in support. We had, I believe we had 38 in opposition. However, approximately 11 of them noted opposition when checking in for testimony, but then submitted written testimony in support. So I think they're maybe just participating in the legislative process for the first time. And so we're gonna account for that appropriately. And then there were 11 with comments. What we're gonna do is take the Attorney General's office testimony first, and we will do approximately no more than 15 minutes of questions from the members regarding the Attorney General's office's testimony. And then we will do 1 minute testimony from every other member of the public who's submitted. We will start in order of who registered to testify, and then we will take everyone else who would like to testify on this measure until our feed is cut off at 5 p.m. If we do this appropriately, we should be able to account for everyone. We've been trying to monitor how many people there are on the railing, but I do respectfully request that everyone please stick to your 1 minute. The only reason we do 1 minute on agendas like these, it's normally longer, is to make sure that everybody has an equal amount of time to speak. The Attorney General gets extra because we got questions for their office, if you guys can understand. So we'll start with the Attorney General's office. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Deputy Attorney General Brian Yee on behalf of the Department of the Attorney General. The Department respectfully opposes this bill and requests and recommends that the bill be held. Our concerns are primarily constitutional. Obviously, in this time period, I won't be going through a specific and detailed legal analysis of it, but just briefly. The first is the Commerce Clause. The Commerce Clause provides that sometimes we're 50 states, sometimes we're one nation. We have to make sure that our laws don't unduly burden or interfere with the commerce of the United States or internationally. By prohibiting foreign corporations and domiciliaries from owning real property in Hawaii, the bills may violate the Dormant Commerce Clause. Equal protection is the second. Equal protection obviously simply requires that we treat similar people similarly. And by prohibiting foreign domiciliaries from owning real property in Hawaii, the bill may violate the Equal Protection Clause, which requires strict scrutiny of laws that discriminate on the basis of alienage or national origin. It also needs to explain why it distinguishes between foreign domiciliaries and foreign lawful permanent residents of the United States with respect to the ownership of property. Due process is the third. Due process obviously simply says that you need to provide due process for rights that will either be denied or taken away. By authorizing the Department of the Attorney General to seek an ex parte order for seizure of real property, that may violate the due process clause. And the standard under which such an order may be issued may also be considered vague and therefore also a violation of the due process clause. Next is the takings clause. The takings clause simply says that the state may not take property without just compensation. By requiring real property owned or acquired in violation of the provisions to be forfeited to the state, the bill may violate the takings clause. There are two federal sovereignty questions. The first is by prohibiting foreign governments from owning real property in Hawaii. The bill may unconstitutionally intrude on the federal government's exclusive control over foreign relations. And by prohibiting foreign domiciliaries from owning real property in Hawaii, the bills may also violate the Federal Fair Housing Act, which prohibits discrimination in housing on the basis of national origin. I would also note that Article 1, Section 2 of the Hawaii State Constitution has a somewhat unique provision expressly acknowledging or recognizing the right to acquire and possess property. These are provisions that would be of concern to us, and if there are not, I would note, only federal constitutional claims, but also state constitutional claims, meaning that would need to pass not only the scrutiny of the Ninth Circuit and the U.S. Supreme Court, but also that of the Hawaii Supreme Court. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Members, any questions?
I have a question. Thank you.
We'll start with the vice chair, followed by the introducer.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your call it a dissertation for us. Anyway, we hear what you say. However, you never know what legislators do. If this measure passes, but there's appropriation in this measure, and it gives monies to your department to manage this, if it becomes, and if the governor approves, then it becomes an act. So what happens?
Well, let's assume for the moment the bill passes and someone like the ACLU files a lawsuit as they did in Florida. The Department of the Attorney General would generally defend the law, even if it had constitutional concerns. The case would be, it may be in federal court, it may be in state court, it may be in both. We'd have to defend the case in both cases. And at the end of the day, we'll have to see what happens. But if we do lose, I would note that we would most probably be liable for attorney's fees and costs.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank
Senator
you,
Wa.
There are a lot of bills, and I'll get specific with this one, but there are a lot of bills last session. You guys supported restricting firearms. Last August, there was a federal court judge who made a ruling in that case. Can you tell me what it was?
I'm not familiar. The firearms matters are handled by our appellate division, so I'm not very familiar with those particular cases.
So she basically made a conclusion that it was unconstitutional. The AG basically says that they believe it is, and so they'll fight. Why can't you guys fight for this? As the senator was just saying, what if we did let this go up to the governor? What if it does get challenged? Why wouldn't you just fight, let it go up to the highest ruling so we can get an opinion from whatever court it may be?
So if the bill passes, I'm not saying we wouldn't try to defend the bill. We have defended other matters for which we had, some concerns. If your question though is why is our testimony recommending that it be held, we're simply providing you with our best opinion as to what the state of the law is.
Knowing that, like was mentioned, senators can do wild things with legislation. You guys did know, my colleague over here said we could pass this bill if your guys' testimony came in today and said it was problematic but not unconstitutional. Knowing we live in a state of Hawaii, I know you guys got a job to do. You don't want to spend taxpayer money, on lawsuits. But this is such a big deal. We got, as the senator said, look at all the people in this room, 1,200 plus testimonies. This is a big issue. Do you think that the Attorney General's office can work with any type of measure. We have another one to ban foreigners from buying ag land. I know you haven't seen that, but is there anything we can do around this? That's what people want to know. Can this actually happen?
So I'm addressing the particular bill in front of me. This particular bill bans all foreign ownership or interest in real property, which is quite broad. And so the issues to us seem fairly clear on this bill.
Is there any recommendation of ways we could go to amend this? We're not going to make a decision today, but is there anything that we can do in the next couple of days before we make a decision that could tailor this to even, China around 15 miles around any military installation? Is there anything that you guys have in mind?
So we have not suggested alternative language, as we would try to do if we thought there was some reasonable likelihood that the bill would be constitutional. But that is not among the alternatives we have suggested in this case.
Thanks, Chair.
Members, questions?
I have another question for
Senator
him.
Noy.
Presently, particularly those areas in Kaka'ako, they already are foreign nationals that has bought units. So what happens with those already in existence? That would be grandfathered or something like that?
My understanding of the bill is if you currently own, if you are a foreign national and currently own property, that would not be affected. But no new foreign ownership could be had.
So
and
going
there'd be
forward then.
consequences if it does happen.
Okay, thank you, Cheers.
I would, okay.
Members, questions? Okay, I have a few. The first is that some of the, so just to make it clear that to date, we closed off testimony on this bill at 3 p.m. when we gavelled in. At that point, we had over 2,000 pieces of testimony, which is why we're deferring decision-making, because we weren't able to get through the 800 that were submitted today. But many of the testifiers seemed surprised or confused that foreign nationals are afforded what seems to be the same measure of constitutional protections as state residents. Can you explain why in this situation there appears to be no distinction?
So we've gone through the list. So there are other cases, obviously, in other states that have more limited restrictions. So I think Senator Awa mentioned agricultural land. There's provisions that prohibit Chinese nationals from owning agricultural land within a certain distance from a military installation, which obviously is a much more narrow provision. That is currently being challenged. And the 11th Circuit has upheld, well, the 11th Circuit has overturned the district court decision on the preliminary injunction, although I would note it's a fairly narrow basis, and that the hearing on the merits is still to be had in April.
So if you can help me just break that down, right? The Florida law was more narrow than the bill being proposed today, and that bill has been, the implementation of the bill has now been halted by an appeals court,
which has found that there would be
the Southeast.
Yes, and the 11th Circuit, or that panel, found there to be a substantial likelihood of success.
So that's an example of other attempts that have not been successful. What my question is, can you help people who are, I mean, I'm an attorney and I cannot remember the specific rules around why seemingly foreign nationals may be afforded the same constitutional protections as state residents in this situation, or even United States citizens.
So it is a case, but it is an analysis that would have to be applied. And there are tests that would be applied, for different kinds of circumstances. And it's just I don't know if I can maybe just draw an example.
Please.
So it's probably okay that we provide we say residents don't have to pay to enter Hanauma Beach, right? Hanauma Bay, because residents pay taxes, and those taxes are being used to fund the maintenance and operation. So we say they don't have to pay, but people who don't pay those taxes do need to pay. And so when it's still subject to the constitutional analysis, but after you apply the constitutional analysis, it probably passes constitutional muster. This is different. So this is not, whether you have to pay some money to enter somewhere. It's a prohibition on private ownership of land. It prevents not just the individual from purchasing, but also an individual from selling the property to. So it prevents a local resident or a United States citizen from selling their property to certain kinds of people and those kinds of people. And then what is the basis for that distinction? So you would have to apply the test, and it's just in our view, it would be very difficult to pass constitutional muster.
So are you saying it's more that the protections are applied to the activity than specifically who is engaged in the activity? That the ownership of property is one of those significant activities that's afforded all sorts of protections in the Constitution.
Yeah, I
versus snorkeling in Hanauma Bay, if we want to charge tourists.
There are differences is what I'm trying to say. I mean, the fact that you are distinguishing between citizen types of foreign nationals, like someone who's domiciled in here and someone who's not, is a factor, but it's also the importance of the right being taken. So it's not just one particular distinction, there are multiple distinctions.
Well, I asked that because some of the constitutional provisions that you just mentioned that could be triggered specifically apply to property ownership versus a tourist or a recreational activity like going to the beach. The reason I ask this is as a follow-up question. We are allowed to, we have engaged in subsidies for the construction of affordable housing projects in the state of Hawaii. And those projects are typically limited to state residents. So again, can you help us understand how, if the state of Hawaii is subsidizing the construction of housing, DHHL is another example. If we're using tax dollars to develop housing specifically for state residents, how, on the other hand, are you saying we are likely prohibited and would likely lose if sued from doing sort of the flip side policy enactment?
So if this was involving who the state would decide to sell state land to, that's a different bill, right? This isn't saying, oh, I have this many acres of state land, I'm choosing to sell state land to residents. It is a bill that would prohibit private ownership of any land. So it's more than just, the decision for like how we use our money, or how, for subsidized housing, and how that money is used is a different question than our regulation of private ownership.
Okay, one more question, and I'll open it back up, and then we'll move on if there are none. There have been measures that have come before the Senate, introduced in the Senate in years past, proposing a constitutional amendment to create a right for the residents of the state of Hawaii to have housing. If we instead took that approach, enacted that type of legislation, and it was approved by the voters, how would that constitutional provision jive with the other constitutional provisions? Would they cancel each other out? How would that be approached?
An amendment to the Hawaii Constitution, properly drafted, could resolve the Hawaii constitutional concerns, but it wouldn't necessarily affect the federal constitutional concerns.
What concerns in the Hawaii Constitution with those?
So many of the federal constitutional provisions, equal protection, due process, et cetera, are copied in the Hawaii State Constitution. And so although they might even look identical, they could be interpreted differently by the Hawaii Supreme Court. So the Hawaii Supreme Court's review of the Hawaii constitutional provisions would then be limited by any new constitutional provision that was enacted. So although you might think these are identical issues, they have different decision makers. So the state constitutional concerns could be addressed through a new state constitutional provision, but not necessarily the federal constitutional concerns.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other questions? Senator Richards.
Thank you. I was trying to look it up, but in the last year, sometime about a year ago, Arizona prohibited foreign ownership of farmlands. Are you aware of that? And I think it was being evaluated for constitutionality. Are you aware of that? And do you know what decisions have been made, if any?
In the time period, I'm aware there are a number of states with restrictions, and I know many of them deal with agricultural lands near military bases. I am only aware of one judicial case, and that's the one from Florida. I'm not aware of any other judicial case for Arizona or anyone else.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, let's move into testimony. Thank you very much. I'd also like to recognize this is just his job.
Yeah.
So please cut in some slack on the railing. Next, we have the DCCA Division of Financial Institutions offering comments. Thank you for standing on your testimony. The Department of Land and Natural Resources offering comments. Okay. The NAIOP Hawaii chapter in opposition. Thank you for standing on your testimony. We have the Hawaii Credit Union League offering comments. Okay, Allison Makikau in support. Marley Kamaka'ala Miller in support. Raymond Barros in support. Ikaika Variacion in support. Good afternoon.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Yeah, so my name is Ikaika Variacion, native Hawaiian whose family has been here for multiple generations. I'm here to express my unwavering support for the initiative to ban foreign buyers from owning real estate in Hawaii. It's not about exclusion, it's about survival and preservation, ensuring that Hawaii remains a place where its native people and local residents can afford to live, grow, and prosper. It's about protecting our island from becoming merely an investment for those who see our islands as nothing more than a lucrative opportunity. In conclusion, this measure is the best interest of all who call Hawaii home. It's a step towards rectifying the imbalance that has long disadvantaged our people. It's a call to action to prioritize the well-being of our local communities over the interests of external investors. With deepest respect and urgency, I urge you to support this vital measure. Let us protect the integrity of our islands for our generation and those to come. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in under a minute. Next, we have online, we have Kioni Shizuma. Good afternoon.
Hey, aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, community members. I just want to thank the introducers for putting this bill forth. I'm in support of this bill. And mahalo for introducing the bill. And also for putting residents of Hawaii ahead of profits. And I know that folks who make a profit from selling the homes are going to be against this bill. But change is hard and needs to happen. And we will continue to see locals being priced out of Hawaii without this type of legislation. So I'll stand with the rest of that will be in my testimony, but just want to mahalo you folks. And mahalo for the questions. I really love the diving in that you guys were just doing. So mahalo.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Pohai in support. Sean Napua Lokinani Andrade Inge in support. Kim Cook in support. Demont Manaole in support. Good afternoon.
Aloha, Demont Manaole, Native Hawaiian advocate. So I support this not only for being able to have a place in our own homeland to live, but also, I want you guys to think about foreign invasion, not only by military force, but also by economic devastation. China, Russia, Iran, all them guys, they can employ economic hurt upon the United States, and that's going to affect us as nationals in Hawaii. So think about that. If they wanted to buy up all the land, price us out, and then what? Collapse the economy because of the economic collapse of the economy because they own all the land. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anela Kealakai in support. Nicole in support. Casey Tabor in support. Nancy Valdez in support. Jamie Detweiler. Good afternoon.
Aloha.
In support.
Aloha. Aloha, Chair,
committee members, thank you for this opportunity to testify. The Federation, I'm the president of the Hawaii Federation of Republican Women. The Federation is concerned about property purchases by foreigners. Many people have already expressed the high cost of living here in Hawaii, and our local families are being forced to move out. This bill is the first step in the right direction toward making it more affordable for local families to purchase a home and stay in Hawaii. While I respect the State Attorney General's statement today, I have concerns about what they're saying. They are concerned about the constitutionality and legality of this bill. However, may I respectfully remind you that these are foreigners, and under the U.S. Constitution, they don't have any rights. Currently, over 21 states prohibit foreigners from owning property. And may I back it up a bit? Foreigners under the U.S. Constitution don't have constitutional rights. And finally, on a personal note, generations of my ohana have resided in Hawaii since the beginning of time. We are proud Kanaka.
Thank
I
you.
know the impact. My own children have moved away.
Thank you.
My own children and grandchildren have moved away. So I ask you to vote yes. Mahalo.
Terry Galpin, in support. Kaua Taylor Fulton, in support. Good afternoon. Aloha.
My name is Ko'ua'o Ili Mako Kua Taylor Fulton. I'm a native Hawaiian from Wa'anai. I just wanted to just make a few points. I'll be quick about them. I just wanted to say it's important this bill gets passed just for Hawaiians, you know, and Kama Aina, just because it preserves our culture and our Aina. And it's important because, you know, long when we pass away and our kids come after us, you know, they have something to come back home to, you know what I mean? Especially for the indigenous folks. And then another point I just wanted to make was just, you know, Hawaiians are leaving by like the hundreds, you know? In one of my classes a couple of days ago, we were just talking about how even local people, they're getting priced out from living over here. And I just wanted that this bill would keep us from having to leave our homes, you know what I mean? That's all.
Thank you very much. Toalua Tuiasosopo, in support. Armando Molina, in support. Bryson Tayoali'i, in support. Online, we have Alfred Medeiros in support.
Aloha mai ko, Alfred Kalkahona Medeiros ko inoa, no wainai maiau. Mahalo chair, mahalo vice chair, and mahalo to the senators who put this bill together for the people of Hawaii. I don't know if you guys know this by now. 90% of the people in Hawaii, or local people, are either one paycheck away from being homeless or moving off of Hawaii. 90% of the people. Now, I know a few senators and know people in office are probably against this because a lot of you guys' money comes from outside corporations and entities, which we need to stop and just start supporting our people in Hawaii. But I want to talk about debunking the Attorney General's office when he was saying about there's certain states out there. You know, we as Kanaka know that we're illegally occupied, but there's states out there that prohibit or restrict foreign ownership of farmland and people of buying property. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, Virginia, Wisconsin prohibit outside people from buying aina. We should do the same thing over here. For people in the aina like myself who do farming, that is very vital to us to be sustainable in Hawaii name. But there's nations across the world like New Zealand, China, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Georgia, and Philippines that
Thank
do
you
the
very
same.
much for your testimony.
All you guys that keep Hawaiian lands in Hawaiian hands. Aloha.
So now we'll move to that's the entirety of individuals who signed up and indicated they would be present. So if you would like to testify right now, now is your time. Please raise your hand. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to point you folks out and we're going to try and move as quickly as we can. In the back row, standing up, please come forward. Yeah. Hawaii Realtors standing on testimony in opposition. Noted. Okay, and then we'll go to this gentleman right here. Please come up. So if you haven't signed up to testify, that's completely okay. Please come up, state your name for the record so that it is.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Corey Asuncion. I am a candidate for Eva Beach District 40, representing Eva Beach. And my grandparents had coffee land in Kona. So I guess this is where Kona coffee
Are
came
you in
from.
support, sir?
Yes, I'm in support.
Thank you.
Also, what's happening now to the people of Hawaii, we're being priced out of paradise. We work 2 jobs just to get by. You know, actually 2 jobs to be broke, 3 jobs to get by. We have nothing left from my grandparents because we were priced out of paradise at one point in time that we were bought out. My grandparents were bought out. I have nothing to show to my grandkids that we was the owners of Kona Coffee. But yet I live in a single family home, struggling with my own business. Now I want to step up to the plate for the people of Hawaii as being a representative. We are priced out of paradise and this needs to stop. If I say right now, by the raise of hands, how many of you have a family member that was priced out of paradise and left Hawaii? I don't even have to look, right? Something's wrong here and we need to get a change. Aloha.
Mahalo. Thank you. Next up, raise your, I have right here, followed by gentleman in the blue.
Hanau kong kumuli po e kapo he kan. Hanau kum po he banime. No ana I ke ia kua. I ka na hele hele ia la I ke kio ko. I ke ua koko. No na kino manu kalani manu e hoi. E ho ulu ai ana mai ano laka. I kona mau ka. O mako no o. O au Shireen Dallas. My family is Konia. Nahi ena. And I have to buy my own hale on a place that was Hawaiian homelands. I'm in support of this bill. I get 20 seconds to tell you folks that I don't want my kids to have to not be able to live in this land and have to go move into the mainland or move into the continent. This is the mainland. So please support this bill. And over here, wherever he went, there he is. Try to think about that. Try to think about us. But think about them.
Thank you very much. Next, followed by, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna just point at you guys so that it's quicker. You can come.
Aloha, my name
Aloha.
is Josiah. I'm here today to say that this bill is something that will keep Hawaiian lands in Hawaiian hands, and without Hawaiians in Hawaii, it's not going to be Hawaii. I think that anybody that opposes this bill should kind of be considered almost like anti-Hawaiian, honestly. But yeah, I'm just here to support the bill.
Thank you very much. Okay, what we'll do at this point is we have 2 chairs. If you'd like to testify, come up and sit in the chair, and then we'll just take turns so we can go a little bit faster. So as individuals leave, just take the open chair. Okay, aloha.
Aloha. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Vice Chair. Is this on?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for doing this. Senator Ala, thank you. Mahalo. My name is Walin Christian, and born and raised in Hawaii, of Hawaiian ancestry. I'm going to say, you're going to hear so much testimony what I want to say, so this is what I'm going to do. According to the Attorney General, this is unconstitutional. The Constitution is made for us, for those who live in America. The foreign entities that have been purchasing up our land have been doing it under LLCs and trusts. That's how they keep their names hidden. And they have been taking away our land, not only in Hawaii, but all over the nation. What we have to understand is instead of doing that, we need to give it back to the people. I'm going to say this. He also said the state owns the land. The state owns nothing. The people do. This land is to the people. I'm asking you, I support this bill 100%. We will push forward and we will get this bill done with your support because you represent and you said that you would help the people. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Next testifier. Thank you. Go ahead.
I am Ali'i Kalani Kaulele Vivi. On behalf of Mo'i Wahine Nui o Hawaii Nui Akea, reborn of the Kingdom of Hawaii, Mo'i Wahine Nui o Avapuhi, enters this act into law under the jurisdiction of the Kingdom of Hawaii Nui Akea. The kingdom is now enacted. All entities operating under the illegal occupation of Hawaii is now put to an end. Any and all business from this day forward must be approved by the entities representing Hawaii Nui Akea. as determined by the Mo'i Wahine Nui of Apuhi. Notice was given on Monday, February 5th, 2024 at 8:08 a.m. in the Kingdom of Hawaii Nui Akea. Notification of assets for the Kingdom of Hawaii have also been put on notice and confirmed received from the Bank of England, which was created on behalf of the Kingdom by Curtis P. Laukea on November 30th, 1886. All ledgers are hereby requested and must be provided immediately. First Hawaiian Bank has also been provided notice of the rightful heir to the lands of the Kingdom by birthright and lineal blood trust, which has been practiced for all existence of the Kingdom prior to the illegal occupation. Mo'i Wahine Nui of Apuhi hereby dispel all entities not approved by me as stated by the Constitution of 1864. Lineal blood DNA has been certified and has been received by the Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation.
Recess. Okay, we're coming back in on this 3 p.m. Tuesday, February 6th, CPN and Transportation Committee agenda for more testimony on SB 2617. Please proceed. And the next testifier who would like to join can just come right up. Go ahead, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cameron Hurt. I'm Program Manager of Common Cause Hawaii. I am here to testify in support with amendments. Probably shocking hearing that, knowing what organization I represent, because we love to look at these things through a xenophobic racist lens to make sure that we're protecting all peoples as laid out in the American Constitution. However, it is very important that for legislators here in Hawaii, that we look at the Constitution through a Native Hawaiian lens first. And in understanding that, testimony you've heard today is true. Senator Awa asked the question, could this bill, even with tweaks, be made so it would be constitutional? The truth is yes, because we've seen it. There were a list of states that have been able to successfully put provisions on foreign ownership on ag lands and farmlands. Something like that could be done here. And you're seeing that the people will it. Overwhelmingly, they do. So it is worth taking this bill back and seeing if any amendments can make this constitutional. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Go ahead. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Ka'uailani Worthington, and on behalf of my children who are behind me and my friends and family across Hawaii, I stand in support of this bill. The state of Hawaii has benefited greatly from my culture. The Hawaiian culture, the love, respect, and humility my people have shown Malihini for centuries. This is what continues to draw visitors here. People flock to Hawaii to get a glimpse of what makes Hawaii so special. And we are proud to share our culture. Foreigners come and experience my culture. They fall in love with the melodious sounds of Hawaiian kanikapila and mesmerized by the lovely hula hands and enthralled with the spirit of this aina and decide that this is where they want to be. People should be able to experience Hawaii, but not off of the backs of its people, of its residents. It's time to put the people of Hawaii first. Time to start thinking of the future for the keiki here already, whose families work hard to provide and to keep them on their land. Time to start thinking of the people of Hawaii who had to make the heartbreaking decision to move off island because they couldn't afford the cost of living here. It is time for the state of Hawaii to take care of the people of this land, and Bill SB 2617 is a small step in doing so. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
To the members of the Senate, my name is Tiffany Lazarez. I was only made aware of this bill as of yesterday, although I haven't been aware of it. This is a topic that's been on my mind since my adult life. I'm in support of this bill. I'm a mother, a wife, and a small business owner. I was born and raised on Oahu, and although I do not have native blood, my family has been here for multiple generations. As a parent, as many of you are, my top priority is always my children. I fear that it's unattainable to our next generation to be able to stay here. It's not a new ideal. Other countries and other states have adopted this already. Our Constitution was put into place so that we, the people, and just basically to serve our citizens, for us, you know. Hawaii is different, and it's a unique place that has issues to our own individual state. This is the opportunity to hear a large number of public outcries and to do something about it. As someone born and raised here, I consider myself to be a true local, and not in the sense of an inhabitant, but basically you go to the beach and you take more trash than you came with. The decisions that you guys make today will affect our future lands, our ocean and environment, and the future generations
Thank
to
you.
come. So if you guys support this bill, we will definitely support you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Aloha, in support. My name is Glenn Freitas of Hi'ia. Aloha. Aloha. I'm here today because I was moved to take action. Thank you. But it's also the AG's office that forced me to take action, to do what they cannot do. They cite that this bill be unconstitutional, discriminatory. Wow. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a Hawaiian. I'm one that's stuck in the middle of the political bickering and mismanagement that's been going on. I'm tired. You and this government has an obligation to us, a kuleana to us. Isn't the findings of the AG's office discriminatory to us? What about us? Let's talk facts. Mr. Madera's already stated there's over 20 states that have some kind of bill in place to prevent foreign ownership. This isn't new. We should have been first. I argue that I was actually not even in support of this bill because it didn't go far enough. I asked you to do what's pono. Do the right thing. Think of us.
Mahalo. Is there anyone else who would like to testify?
Yeah, me.
Okay. Any other person, please come up and take a seat, and I'll acknowledge you when you're ready. Aloha.
And you guys fine, appreciate it. Really good. My name is Kamuela Magokalani Kikumu. I sit here today with the cocoa behind me, and I ask him, where's your cocoa? Where
If
your
you can
cocoa
please,
that ties you
excuse me, sir.
to what
you
we're doing. I
address us,
understand,
please.
I get it. I just want to see eye to eye.
Thank you.
If I can see eye to him, I can see eye to him. And all I say, I support what he's doing. Cocoa is the land. And I represent, and people that was here represent that law, like Coco. So as what is going forward, I stand for what is going down. I stand behind our. That this is important for all of us. We all should participate with the heart and mind that what this bill is for Coco. And the people that bear that evidence in their heritage. I know you get, I understand. That's why we need to unite now for this measure to move forward. And not pay attention to the noise that surrounds us. This is our land. You guys just have the opportunity to bring forth the righteousness of the land. For people like me and your ohana, where you come from, that was here before time we don't even know. Kopei's vision was about this exact same thing. He warned us about this. This was what he said 300 years ago. Thank you.
Mahalo. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Aloha. My name is Danson Honda. I wasn't originally planning on testifying at first, but I have a thought. After overcoming financial challenges to become a homeowner,
Can you please register your support? Or
Yes, I am in support with amendments.
Thank you.
Yes. After overcoming financial challenges to become a homeowner, I began working in the real estate industry, and I became familiar with fair housing laws and the challenges that we face with it. With that in mind, I am proposing that if we want to prevent people buying up our land for investment purposes, which in my opinion, isn't just restricted to foreigners. It's also people here in the US, in Hawaii. We should have our focus being on owner occupants versus non-owner occupants. That is not protected under the fair housing laws. We should prioritize people who are buying property who want to be an owner occupant. Right? And if we go in that route, that will help avoid a lot of these constitutionality questions in mind. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Please, if there's anyone else, please take a seat up front.
Normally, I come down here to testify against an OHA. Some of you guys look familiar faces, that's why and whatnot, but they do kind of different things. My name is Kelly Imakikau. I'm testifying on behalf of the bill that was presented by Representative Ava. Many days ago, Senator, you gave a very good speech in front of your colleagues and so forth, outlining the intent of this bill and whatnot. I believe some of the things that we're seeing today is a reaction to that bill. Not only was it filled with passion and truth, but I hear now some of the legal terms that I think are being used to try and filibuster and silence what you have been doing. Long story short, constitutionality, that term gets thrown across the nation as a term to either stonewall or create divisiveness and whatnot. We have a branch of government that is poised to address these things. It's our judicial branch. I see no reason why this measure cannot be passed and the process that we outlined by the founding fathers be presented to them to analyze it. If it doesn't, it will not survive muster and will go back. Until then, but one quick note, this bill strikes at the very heart of sovereignty, but it also strikes at political and financial malfeasance within government, because these foreign entities, we know, if you have seen the news, we are been voted as the worst state in the nation. Just a quick note, I did submit testimony and I didn't hear my name.
I believe we have you.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure my name.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm not Allison Makikau.
Well, we'll double check with the clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, if you're concerned about the spelling of your name, I understand, and please check with us at the conclusion of this hearing to make sure that we're getting your spelling down appropriately. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this measure? Okay, seeing none, we have about 10 minutes. I think we can take maybe one or two questions from the members if there are any follow-up questions. And if not, then we will, as announced at the beginning of this hearing, we will defer decision-making recommendations on this measure to Friday. Well, for the Consumer Protection Committee, we will defer decision-making on this measure to Friday, February 9th at 9:46 a.m. in conference room 229 to account for the 800 pieces of testimony that were submitted today before the commencement of this hearing, to give the members the opportunity to review everyone's submitted testimony before taking a vote on the measure.
For the Transportation, Culture, and Arts Committee, we'll similarly be making the same recommendation to defer decision-making, although our day is Tuesday, February 13th at 3 p.m. I think that's right. In this room, Senate Conference Room 224.
Okay, that's the conclusion of the hearing. Thank you all very much for exercising some wonderful decorum and patience with all of us. We are adjourned.